Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I am Jason. That's Kevin. We are back from our little Thanksgiving kind of hiatus a little bit. Let me get this straightened out here. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back. We are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation, Cincinnati Bengals website, and we are sponsored by Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. Kevin, there's... we kind of started like, how you doing, buddy? Stuff like that. It's been a couple weeks. I mean, we've talked almost every day. But Joe Burrow's out for the year.
Yep.
Lost in the Ravens game. And, he had surgery this past Monday on his wrist. He'll be back 2024. The Bengals are marching Jake Browning out. They went out against Pittsburgh, and we're not going to talk about the game because it's Friday or it's Thursday. Well, by the time most people will be seeing this, it'll be Friday. But they lost, So really the big question, I don't think there's much of a reason to talk about the game very much. I just want to ask you where your head's at, man. Just right now. Like,
okay.
Are you tanking? Like, do you want him to tank? Do you have a hard time doing that? I just want to know where you're at.
First off, I'm glad we didn't record after Thanksgiving. That was already planned. Just people, moving out of town, everything else. Sure. I would not have been in the right headspace, but we've been here before, and I don't mean with the Burrow injury exclusively. Right. I mean with a team that we don't see a lot of hope with. It sucks. I'm not happy by any stretch, but I've been a fan of the Bengals since before I can remember being a fan of the Bengals. I've been through some bad years. I've been through injuries. We'll get through it. As of right now, you're asking about team tank. I guess if you had to categorize it, I am. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be rooting for. Here's the thing about my headspace. I win no matter what. Right. Because I think that it is the best possible option for us to lose it out from here on out, get the highest possible draft pick, and then use that to come back even stronger next season. But I'm also going to be rooting for the Bengals to win. So win or lose, I'm going to be happy. Yeah. And I think part of that mentality comes with just a lower level of expectation. Once you accept kind of where the team is at, it becomes a lot easier to just go with the flow and enjoy what you can enjoy and find your victories where you got them and just have fun.
So I went into the Pittsburgh game thinking kind of along the same lines, they were favored, by 1.5 I think, something like that. Yeah.
That says all you need to say about
anything. But it was one of those things where they went into the game and I thought, Jake Browning's he's still a professional quarterback. He's on a roster. He's on a final 52-man roster, which means he can't suck. You know what I mean? He's one of the best 32, 64, whatever, of these guys in the world. No, he's not. No, he's not.
I mean, he is. It just shows you that quarterback.
Right. It shows
quarterback is not a position that like there's no
depth. Not plug and play.
There's no depth in the entire league. In the entire league, there's no depth of any quarterback position. Period. Sometimes you'll stumble across the person who will perform.
Yeah,
that's blind luck as far as I'm concerned. There are maybe 15 to 20 good quarterbacks in the NFL at any one time.
I think there's less than that. I think there's less than that. I think there's maybe 15. Well, you just said 15, 20. I think there's 10 to 15 good quarterbacks in the NFL. All right. So what we learned is you cannot just replace a quarterback. You can't. It just doesn't work like that. And we knew that. The drop-off between Burrow and Browning is huge. Okay? But you kind of go into this, you think like, well, they still got Chase. They got Mixon. They spent a lot of money on the offensive line. They got Lou and Arumo. They got this defense. They should still be all right. No, it just nothing works the same way. So
the offense as they built it does not function without a high-level quarterback, specifically a high-level processor. They built it for Burrow, which I'm not against. That's what you got to do. You got to cater to your quarterback. But because of who Burrow is as a player, because of his incredibly cerebral nature and his quick thinking, he is almost irreplaceable. Where you can see what the Ravens did last year, where they just got a Lamar Jackson light and managed to keep rolling to a certain extent.
Right.
I'm not comparing Burrow to any other quarterback and saying what's better or worse, but the processing speed of Burrow is not something you can find a lesser version of and then just expect to keep running to any degree. This offense is probably pretty screwed.
Yes. So I thought about it in terms of 2015 with Andy Dalton. The Bengals are in first place in the division. Andy Dalton gets hurt. in the Pittsburgh game, goes out. AJ McCarron comes in. You know,
Yeah.
drop between Andy Dalton and AJ McCarron is much smaller than the drop between Joe Burrow and Jake Browning, obviously.
Yes, especially on both sides. AJ McCarron was a much better backup at the time, and Burrow's a much better starter.
But the Bengals, you know, they kind of limped through. They went to the playoffs. Obviously, they lost that game. It's kind of the same things like you said with the Ravens last year. You know, they limped through. They lost Lamar. They went to the playoffs and they lost in the first round of the Bengals. Yeah, the playoffs is not. I mean, we're not mathematically eliminated, but we're eliminated. We're not going to go.
No, we're not.
We're not. So, So my thinking has shifted from, you know, I'll obviously root for them to win. I want them to win. It's fun. I want them to spoil. If they win out, it'd be bad. It would be bad, but it'd be fun to watch. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be fun. It would be devastating to watch, actually, because they'd lose in the first round of the playoffs. But
they would. I'm still rooting for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really am, and that's what I mean by like we're in a lower stakes part of football now.
Right.
We're kind of I'm almost in like an old school mentality where you used to just root for a playoff win or just a good showing or just to beat the Steelers or whatever, but your expectations were much smaller than they've become the last 3-4 years. And I'm kind of back there. I'm rooting for them to win. If they don't, I'm checking Tankathon after every game to see where we stand. And either way, I'm gonna be satisfied with what's happening.
Yep. So I think the way that I look at it now is if they win, awesome. You know what? I think it was 2021, the Ryan Finley game against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was I went into that game with zero expectations, and that was one of the most fun times I ever had watching a Monday Night Football game. And we won, and I was not expecting it. And if we could have that for the rest of the season, how awesome would that be to just watch Jake Browning smile under the pile of every team that he scored against? You know what I'm saying? It'd be great.
Sure.
But if we lose, the silver lining is there. That's a higher draft pick every week. So if they lose with Joe Burrow right now, if Joe Burrow's still playing right now, if he's still in and they lose this weekend, then you're thinking like, oh, it's ruined my weekend. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, there's a silver lining to losing now.
In my brain, we lost the whole season in one bad injury 2 weeks ago, and I've processed it, and I'm mellowed, and now one win or loss is gonna affect me much for the rest of the season.
Right.
Just enjoy football. I'm gonna start my draft process a little early, just a little bit. Kind of just looking at some players here and there that I'd be interested in, and just go with the flow.
Yeah. So I think what's cool about this though is it allows us to watch the Bengals game this weekend and then the rest of the Bengals games differently, in a different way that we would watch it typically. Because typically you're going out there and you're saying, oh, hey, I want to see Burrow go out there and hang 400 yards on these guys and stuff like that. But now you're going to pick apart, at least I'm going to pick apart this game much more, and I'm going to be watching for young guys. I want to specifically pay a lot of attention to the secondary. I want to pay a lot of attention to Chase Brown when he gets in. I want to pay a lot of attention. Hopefully Charlie Jones gets some playing time. Andre Iosivas gets some playing time. But I want to evaluate guys that are going to be important to this team in 2024. And the good thing is I think that for the rest of the year, if the worst case scenario happens and they lose out, you're still going to have a lot of guys that get a ton of experience this year that they would not have gotten had they been making a playoff push. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that there's good. There's good to that.
There's value there.
Yeah, that means that some of these guys are going to have some real game experience under their belt in week one next year when they wouldn't have normally, which is good. That's a good thing. So, yeah. So I'm excited about it. I'm bummed that it's over, because it is over. I'm bummed that Burrow's out. But I'm like you. I've dealt with it. I've moved on like a, emotionally stable human being, as emotionally stable as I can be, and I'm moving on, and I'm ready to rock and roll and get on board and see what they can do this weekend and beyond. I know they got the Jaguars this weekend, which is it's Monday, or not this weekend. It's Monday Night Football. I think they have the Colts next week at home. Sure. So it's going to be fun.
I like that we're facing the Jaguars now because even when they win, Trevor Lawrence can still not say he's beaten Joe.
Right, I know. I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. They're always going to be tied together because the national championship game that they played against each other, and then the back-to-back number one overall picks. If Trevor Lawrence is going to beat the Bengals, Joe Burrow better not be out there. Trevor Lawrence is not going to win. Like when you see
Burrow's
Trevor
record remains.
Right. When you see Trevor Lawrence's record against the Bengals when he retires, I want a little asterisk next to this game. Like Joe Burrow did not play in that game. So that's fun stuff. That's fun stuff. Yeah, I think that there's things that have to, I think they have to change the way that they game plan now too.
I don't think they're going to.
Oh, I don't think they will either. I think they need to, but they won't. I mean, right. I'll tell you what, before we dive into all of this stuff, how about we take commercial? Or is there anything else you wanted to talk about now before we kind of shift gears into what we're looking for?
No, that was it. Okay. That was it. Okay. Let's go to commercial. We'll talk about kind of what we're looking for, what our expectations are for the rest of the season. Try to see where we're finding the fun at the last couple of games here.
All right, we'll be right back.
Eastgate Smiles Dental Care is a warm and welcoming environment where expertise and customer service come together. As a local business, they love helping their fellow Cincinnatians manage their oral health and achieve a perfect smile. They pair the latest technology with years of experience to give you a smile worth showing off. They are dedicated to quality and convenience and can even perform dental crown procedures the same day in most cases. You like your smile, but they are here to help you love it. They personalize your care and match your needs. Call them today at 513-528-1150 to learn what they can do for your pearly whites.
Okay, so we kind of talked a little bit about how they need to change the way that they're coaching some of these games. And you said that they won't. And I would have argued against you had we had a show last week because I was expecting them to walk into the Pittsburgh game with a totally different offensive playbook geared towards Jake Browning. But that wasn't the case. They walked out there with the Joe Burrow playbook, and it worked as well as you'd expect it to work, which means it did not work. I'm
not even mad about it though. I get that people want that to happen.
Right.
We've watched this process as Bengals fans. We've watched it multiple times now, whether it was modifying the offense for Joe Burrow when he gets hurt or trying to beat cover 2. We've watched them change the offense. We know what the process looks like. It takes weeks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And what's the point? I'm not being fatalistic. I'm not saying I don't want to win games. I'm saying you're going to spend all your effort trying to change this offense, stuck in the middle of it with a lesser quarterback, a quarterback who you have been training up in this offense because the idea was he has to step in for a game or a quarter or maybe 2 or 3 games at the worst. So you're not going to suddenly, you're not going to be able to morph this offense into something that fits Jake Browning's strengths.
Right.
In time for it to even matter.
No,
you just don't do it.
Right.
Because you might as well get reps with, the players who are on the field who are going to be in this offense next year. I get why people are frustrated that they're not doing anything different. They can't. They really can't. You're going to see a couple minor changes. You're going to see them incorporate some easy yards. You might try to see them develop that run game just a little bit more than we've seen it, especially the last couple games. You're not going to see any big changes. It's just not really all that possible.
Right. No, and I agree with what you're saying. And I didn't mean change, come out with a whole new offense, like a whole new offensive scheme. I didn't mean that. I just meant call the game a little bit differently. I understand that when Joe Burrow's out there, you're not the Bengals don't have a good running game. And when Joe Burrow's out there, they're not going to waste their time trying to establish a run game to help him because they don't need to. You know what I mean? Jake Browning needs some help. And one of the best ways to help a young quarterback is to run the goddamn ball. And 8 times last. Now, in their defense, it didn't work the 8 times that they ran the ball. Joe Mixon averaged 2 yards a play. It looks like he was running through sand with combat boots on. And the offensive line was terrible when it came to run blocking. It was just, I watched a Joe Goodberry thing breaking down. Oh my gosh, man. And I think the thing that was so frustrating is he even said these guys are veterans. You know what I mean? And
they can't. It's just
bad. It was bad.
We don't have a run game. We don't have a run game.
No.
And people pounding the table for establish the run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I get where your head's at. I also would like that. It's not possible. This team can't run the ball this year.
Right.
It just can't. Move on.
So if they can't run the ball this year, right, and they can't, I personally don't believe that I personally don't believe that Ted Karras is not a good center. Alex Kappa is not a good guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that these guys can play football. I know they can. It's got to be coaching. It's coaching.
Oh, sure.
100%
If we're off on that tangent, I am off. I'm off Pollock.
Yeah, me too.
It's
The offensive
just
line is bad.
we have this team. The management has made a very real effort, very noticeable effort to bring in veterans, to bring in talent, to make changes. This is not negligence on their part.
Right.
If you want to argue with me about the talent they brought in, that's a different story. But that's all perspective. That's all your own personal evaluation. They've made moves. They've tried to shore up this O-line. Nothing's worked.
No.
The O-line was worse this year than it was last year. And that's adding Orlando Brown.
Yep.
Pollock's got to go.
Yep.
Maybe we need to figure out how we're evaluating talent, but that's a different.
Possibly. Man, Pollock's got to go. He's not only just the offensive line coach; he's the run game coordinator. So I mean, like strike 1 and 2, and I mean 3. It's bad, but yeah, the offensive line is worse this year than it was last year. It is, and Orlando Brown Jr. is an upgrade. You know, and I truly believe that Jonah Williams has probably been an upgrade over a half-injured La'el Collins last year. You know what I mean?
More than probably. Jonah Williams is playing some of the best football of his career.
Yeah, but it's just frustrating that they just can't get it together. They just can't get it to work when it comes around. They just don't. It seems that they just don't know how.
Well, let's put that on the list of the first thing to watch is talking about how they can't establish a run game.
Right.
I kind of misspoke. They can try. They can't do it while trying to win.
Well,
but
no.
they can do it
and
see, just throw, getting at the wall, see what sticks. They can do that. So I would like, that's number 1 on the list. I'm going to be watching to see if they make any changes or any kind of new effort. See how the offensive line looks as far as establishing the run game.
Yep.
That's my number 1.
The other thing too that I think personally is we know what we have in Joe Mixon. We know who Joe Mixon is and what he can and can't do. We don't know who Chase Brown is. I want to find out who Chase Brown is. Put him in the game, man. Give him some carries. Give him some carries and let him play behind this offensive line. Maybe he's got what it takes to make some guys miss. Maybe he doesn't.
Within 2 weeks, I want Chase Brown to have approaching a 40 to 50%.
Yeah. There is no reason not to. No reason not to.
That's the reason. Ramp him up and then just see what he can do. Give him time.
Yeah.
Give him just free reps. You know what I mean? Like, every player wants to win, but they know what the score is. So the pressure is going to be off of him to a certain extent. He's not going to be trying to carry this team to a playoff victory. He's not going to be the one who loses the game if he makes a mistake. So these aren't going to be bad reps, even if they're ugly. It's going to be experience. Let's see what he can do.
And nothing against Chase Brown. Nothing is. He's a day 3 guy. You know, he's not Bijan Robinson, who was taken in the first round. You know what I mean? We don't really know what he can do in this offense, and I want to find out. They have not found out. They haven't even attempted to find out. But like you said, I would like to see at least 50% snap share. I'd like to see some more Travion Williams too. Just put some other guys out there. Just have a damn committee. 30% for everybody. Just let everyone get Chris Evans out there. 25% for everybody. Maybe not. Chris
Evans won't be out there.
Yeah, probably not.
Again, don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's never going to be a part of this team in any way that
he's
matters.
Bernard Scott. Do you remember Bernard Scott?
I do. I remember him better. I remember more plays from Bernard Scott than I remember.
I do too. I do too. No, I think that I'd like to see Chase Brown. I want to see, you drafted him for a reason. Put him on the field. Let him see what he can do. If he cannot do it, knowing this year would benefit you. You know what I mean? If he cannot do it, it would be better to know now than it would be to find out next year.
Yes.
And the same goes for, as much as it pains me to say it, I think the same goes for Charlie Jones at the slot receiver position. I think you got to put him in somewhere. And I think you got to pull Tyler a little bit.
I agree. Just overall, I agree with the wide receiver talent we currently have. I mean, Charlie Jones and Yoshi specifically. We know what our win is. We have a lot of decisions to make. And I'd say they have a lot of decisions to make.
It's we're important, and you know it.
With the T. Higgins contract issue coming up, it's going to be a decision whether to franchise tag him. It's going to be a decision. There's a lot of wide receiver talent in the first 2 rounds of the draft. That's going to be a decision they have to make as well.
Yep.
We no longer have the luxury of being like, I think Yoshi could be good.
Right.
We need to have a real understanding of
Time
how
to
he
find out.
operates as a number 2 wide receiver
Yep.
by the end of the season.
Yeah, they do. They do. I
One way or the
want to
other.
see what he can do. And they've had the opportunity over the last couple of weeks with Higgins out.
Yes, they have.
I saw last week the first third down of the game for the Bengals. Yosevich was lined up in the slot and took straight off down the seam, wide open.
Yep.
And I don't know if Browning just didn't see him or didn't think he had time or what. Either way, Higgins may be back this week. I don't know. I'm assuming if he is back, he'll be on the snap count. But that's a good opportunity to say, hey, put Yosevich in, see what he can do. I want to see what these guys can do. We know what Chase can do. I'm not saying you need to sit Chase. I'm not saying that at all. You know what I mean? Don't do that because I do want to win these games. But like
Chase wouldn't allow it anyways.
I don't think he would either. Right?
No,
but like
no. Chase is a numbers guy.
Right.
It's very clear to me that that's how he evaluates his own progress. Like everybody's got their own methods. I'm not criticizing anything, but he very much cares about numbers. He cares about yards. He cares about records. He cares about probably money as well, but not so much in the greediness of it, but just how do I rank compared to other wide receivers?
Right.
He's going to be out there and he's going to be frustrated.
Right.
Pretty much all season because he's not gonna get many opportunities.
Yeah, but I think I like keep him out there, put Higgins on a snap count, get Yosevich out there, rotate Charlie Jones in there, see what they get. Just see what you got. You got to find out now. Yep. The benefit of the situation you're in right now is you get to find out who you have and who you don't have. Right now. Not many teams, the teams that are making the playoff push right now, the teams that are not
afford to do that.
All right, so the Steelers, perfect example. Steelers, right? They're going to get into the playoffs and they're going to get their asses kicked in the first round. That's what's going to happen. You can't 100%. Get outgained by everybody and make it to the playoffs and then win the Super Bowl. It's not going to happen. They're going to get beat in the first round, but they're in a position that they cannot find out who they have on their roster. They're young guys that they have not been able to get a lot of playing time to, are not going to get a lot of playing time because they got to put their starters in. They got to win every game. And I want to win every game too. But the reality of the situation is the Bengals have a really good opportunity here to find out who they have. And if they treat it the right way, it can really benefit them next year. It can be a huge bonus for them,
Yep.
And like I said, there's teams like the Steelers, the Ravens. There's teams that are going to get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Maybe I don't want to say the Ravens are going to get bounced, but you know what I mean. The Steelers,
the Ravens are.
Yeah, the Ravens look good. Who else? What you know what I mean? Like who's a team who's going to make the playoffs is going to get bounced right away? Steelers. I don't know about the Texans. I don't know about the Texans. They might be good.
I don't know. The Texans could actually make a run here.
Yeah. But Steelers, perfect example. Steelers. They're going to get bounced and they're not going to find out who they have next year. And it's going to hurt them. You know what I mean? It is. It's going to hurt them. So there's something to be said for having a top 10 pick, having a losing season, but being in the situation we're in. We have, the Jets are kind of in a similar situation right now. I don't know what's going to happen.
Spot, but that's all we've got now.
Yeah. Right. Well, right.
On the tiny little motes of light in the darkness that is losing Joe Burrow.
If we don't, we'll go insane.
If you love football, you can find it. You know what I mean? I think the final thing is just the defense as a whole. Miles Murphy, but I'm tired of mentioning Miles Murphy. He actually has looked better.
He looked better. He looked pretty good against the Steelers.
He did. So I want to see more. I want to see more Miles Murphy. I want to see a much larger snap count for him, but I also want to see the way the rest of the secondary comes together. And that's not so much that's not so, you know what I mean? Because it has a different flavor to it. What I mean is we don't really know what Charlie Jones is. We don't really know what Chase Brown.
We have a good idea what the secondary is. Yeah.
And it looks good. It's just a little raw, a little rough. But DJ Turner, Battle's looking great. Cam Taylor-Britt, we all know the monster he's turning into or has already become. I'm very, very excited to see what the secondary ends up looking like by the end of this season. I think it could be really good.
Oh, yeah.
I think it could potentially be very, very good. It could be the cause of a lot of optimism going into next season.
Yep. I like Chidobe Awuzie a lot. I will credit him with helping the Bengals get to the Super Bowl in 2021, helping them get back to the AFC Championship. In his injury last year, but he's playing well. His injury, Cam Taylor-Britt has to come in and start, which is good. That's a good thing for Cam Taylor-Britt because it turned out that he was going to be great.
Yes, it did.
But I would not be upset if DJ Turner and Cam Taylor-Britt took like 85% of the snaps for the rest of the season. You know what I mean?
No.
And nothing against Joe Awuzie, but he's not going to be here next year probably. So
no, those two are the future
Yeah.
of
Yep.
the cornerback room. Let them
Yep.
let them develop into it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Well, again, we keep mentioning Cam Taylor Brett. It's more about just how he functions as part of the overall offense beyond that.
right.
He's already you know what I mean? He's not the future, he's the present. But DJ Turner, Dax Hill, Battle, these are people I want to see how they develop for the rest of the year. I think it's gonna be very exciting to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Battle's one of those guys I'm really excited about because when he was drafted, a lot of people made a big deal about how unathletic he is. Like,
Yeah.
he's not very fast. He's not very quick. Look at his RAS score. It's like red all over the board, but he plays smart. He's a smart player. He knows, he just understands football. He has a nose for the ball, and he puts himself in the right place at the right time, which is super exciting. Super exciting. He's, I think that we had kind of like toyed with the idea, like I could see Battle taking over for Scott. You know what I mean? Scott's been really disappointing. Scott has been a major disappointment.
Scott, I heard somebody call Scott an unguided missile, and then halfway through the season, he stopped even the missile part even left, and now he's just unguided.
Yeah,
he's just wandering around out there doing nothing.
But
whatever. Yeah, I think Scott was a disaster.
Yeah. Battle's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Battle has potential. Battle has a lot of potential. I want to see where he fits. Give him snaps. Give him 80%.
Yep.
Give him 80% snaps. Let's see what this secondary turns into.
I totally agree. Totally agree. I'm excited about the secondary. Next year they'll come back. They'll have Trey Hendrickson. They'll have Sam Hubbard. They're going to have BJ. That they probably will not have DJ Reader. They'll have their linebackers, and they'll have this secondary. But the secondary that has been a weakness this year because they're inexperienced. It has been. It has been a weakness. I think that it could be one of their biggest defensive strengths next year because a lot of these guys are getting a ton of snaps right now. They're getting some reps, getting some game snaps under their belt, and where they're they know what they're supposed to do. I just, and like you said, it's dark. Things suck right now. You know what I mean?
They do.
It's season's over, but there's a lot to hold on to. There is a lot to hold on to. We're very lucky. Think about like the situation, like Jets are in kind of a similar situation, as Aaron Rodgers comes in, but I don't know what's going to happen with him. With the fact that he might play soon is insane. Wow. But yeah, kind of a similar situation where like everything's taken away because their quarterback goes away. You know what I mean? And they've had the ability to sit back and watch what some of their guys can do. Do you think that we're going to see these changes, or do you think we're going to see nothing but Mixon again on Sunday or Monday night? That's the question.
I am being hopeful. I actually do think we're going to see at least a reasonable amount of Chase Brown on Sunday.
All right.
I do.
Yeah, I hope so.
Lou Anarumo has kind of hinted at, not Lou Anarumo, Brian Callahan has kind of hinted at it.
They have to see what he can do.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I expect that we will get the chance. Right. This coaching staff, if they don't do the bulk of what we're talking about, because these aren't like revolutionary ideas here. You know what I mean?
It's common sense football
stuff. This is just very clearly the next step. Right. You know what I mean? This is just the next step. You lost your quarterback. What's the next step? Well, here it is. Yep. If they don't do at least the majority of these, it's a problem.
Oh, I know. I'm kind of expecting the NFL in general to cool their jets on Lou Anarumo as the season ends. I don't know if I wouldn't surprise me, I guess, if he got a head coaching interview. It kind of would surprise me if he got a job at this point because the defense has struggled. I don't think Brian Callahan's on anyone's radar, and I kind of think that the Bengals need to move on. Find another offensive coordinator and another offensive line coach. I don't
offensive line coach certain. Yes. I would be interested in seeing who was available. Just some new blood. Got to mix it up. New ideas.
Something.
But yeah.
And there's a lot of people calling for Zach Taylor's head.
That's a mistake.
It's a huge mistake. Yeah. I think one of the worst things that you can do in the NFL for a quarterback, and not saying that I'm not saying that Joe Burrow is the same guy as Baker Mayfield, where you had Baker Mayfield with like 12 different head coaches. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's having continuity with a head coach is a big deal. And they seem to have a good relationship. And Zach Taylor kind of changed the culture here. I mean, the culture is different than it was with Marvin Lewis. And that's his job. That's what I want him to do. He's done that thing. there's a winning culture here now. Now fix the offense. You know what I mean? And if that means that you don't call plays anymore, that's what that means. But I think that having a different playbook in, even if he does keep calling plays, but having a different playbook in, having a different offensive line coach in, would be good things. Absolutely.
I think it could be. Like I said, I'd be willing to entertain it depending on who they picked.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I don't disagree with you, and I think we're about ready to wrap up here. But just final note: as a Bengals fans, we have not seen this level of success in a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
How quickly we become spoiled about what we're owed and what success should look like and everything else. I am not. I have issues with Zach Taylor. I have problems with play calling. I had a variety of issues with this whole coaching staff at one time or another. That's just part of being a fan.
Yeah.
We have been to the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl since Zach Taylor has become head coach.
Yeah.
It would be a mistake to move on.
Yes.
Period.
Yes, it would.
We need a lot more failure before we can ignore that success.
Yes. They need to have a year like this where Joe Burrow's healthy before we need to start saying, hey, Zach Taylor needs to go. That's what needs to happen. If Joe Burrow's looking like Jake Browning, then Zach Taylor's out of a job. But until that happens, he's going to be safe. And Mike Brown has shown nothing.
Should be safe.
He should be safe, yes. And Mike Brown has shown nothing other than the fact that he's loyal. Right? Marvin Lewis was here for way too long.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's going to do that with Zach Taylor. I don't think Zach Taylor's going anywhere. It would kind of surprise me if Brian Callahan went somewhere too, personally.
Sure.
I think that's his brother-in-law, father-in-law, right? Brother-in-law?
I have no idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that a new offensive coordinator and definitely a new offensive line coach, new offensive coordinator could help, probably will help, but we'll see. I still trust Lou Anarumo,
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah. The defense has been, and the thing that's been frustrating about it, especially the run defense has been bad. And I don't think it's necessarily that DJ Reader's been bad. I think it's the offense has been, or like the opposing offenses have just basically said, we need to just take DJ Reader out. We're going to double, triple team DJ Reader, and we're just going to run the ball. So yeah, the defense doesn't have the same teeth, but I'm not, defenses have up downs year. I get that. You know what I mean? The offense has been the issue. That's obviously been the main culprit all year. A lot of it was Joe Burrow's calf in the beginning, and now Joe Burrow's out. I just want to see some young guys play. I want to see some young guys play. I'd love to see him win on Monday. Let's do some game predictions.
Okay.
Think the Bengals are going to win? No.
Nope.
All right. Well, do this. I think Jacksonville's favored by 7 points, 7.5.
Yeah.
Do you think Jacksonville wins by a full touchdown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I
they're going to get up on us. They're going to get up on us fast, and we're not going to be able to throw away out of the situation.
Yep. I kind of
with Jake Browning, it's just not an option.
Yep. I kind of agree. But I'm not going to be paying attention much to the box score. I'm just going to be watching just little things. Little things. I want to see little things. I want to see the young guys do little things right. That's what I'll be doing. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Sucks. It is what it is. Could be worse. We could not have Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Bengals could have lost, or Bengals could have beat Dalton. We could be sitting here with I don't know. I know. I like complaining about Tua, or you know what I mean, or it's just they're
not Burrow,
right?
But like we'd be sitting here with Herbert. It's like you're not bad.
Yeah. No. Is the 2020 NFL draft class going to go down in history as one of the greatest quarterback classes of all time?
It absolutely should.
Yeah,
I don't know every draft class. I'd have to look at it. In my opinion, it is likely the single best quarterback draft class that's ever happened.
I think it belongs right up there with Eli, Ben Roethlisberger, and Phillip Rivers all coming together. You know what I mean? I think it's right there. All three. Tua, Herbert, Burrow. We're talking all three of those, all pros. Love it. So, all right, man. Do you really have anything else going on?
That's it.
All right. So, once again, we are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation's Cincinnati Bengals site, and we are sponsored by Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. We're on the Orange and Black Insider, which is Cincy Jungle's like YouTube media arm. There's a lot of stuff on there. There's new stuff every day. There's Chalk Talk. There's Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. There's OBI. Ton of great shows every single day. We also have the Bengals fan highlight. We're not going to really like drop any names right now. I think everyone knows who we're talking about, but we're kind of setting up. We've done Kevin, you and I have interviewed Bengal Jim. We've interviewed Tony the Tiger. We've interviewed the Bengals captain and Jess. And now we're talking possibly to a little band down in Nashville.
Yep, that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
If you know, you know. So yeah.
If you guys have any suggestions about who our next
absolutely
should be,
absolutely,
let us know.
Let us know. Absolutely. If you want to nominate someone, hey, you guys should talk to this person. Let us know.
Sure.
More than happy to do it. Good stuff. All right, man. Well, we will be back next week to talk about the Jaguars game and preview the Colts game, and possibly I don't know. We'll see what happens.
And whatever else. This podcast is likely to get a little more loose with the format as the rest of the season goes on. But that's part of it too.
It is.
We all got to relax as Bengals fans and just take the fun where we can find it.
Yep, it's football. And you know what? It goes way too fast every year. We're already heading into week 17 or week 13. Week 13. You got a few weeks left of the regular season, and the playoffs are here and gone before you know it. And then we'll be sitting there, and it'll be March, and you won't know what to do with yourself. I will. I'll be watching college basketball. You won't know what to do with yourself because for some reason you refuse to watch anything but football.
Pretty much.
I'm not saying it. Yeah.
I don't know a lot about it, but I like hockey.
Yeah. I just don't understand why you won't watch something else. Baseball. The Reds had an awesome year this year. Get into it, man. It's boring. It is. Yeah. It's a boring sport. Basketball's fun though.
Sure.
If
I grew up in a basketball household more than a football household.
Yeah. All right. Well,
but it was always football for me.
Yeah, I hear. All right. Well, see ya. Who day?
Who day?
That's great!